Good afternoon, everyone. Shannon with Apogee the Moon. And this week, I do want to apologize for not being on last week. There was some stuff going on with that full moon in Scorpio that was a little scorpionic. So, you know, I didn't record a video. But this week I am. And this week it's interesting in the astrology. Let me share my screen. We have some very interesting energy. And so this week we're going to have, I'm changing things up a little bit, both on the website, on my weekly astrology blog, and here. So instead of running Monday through Sunday, I am going to run Sunday, which is the sun's day, through Saturday, which is Saturn's day, the original Sabbat. So that's how I'm going to do it. We're going to go from Sunday to Saturday. So just so everyone's aware, and that's how it's going to run. So May 2nd through May 8th, and that's what's going on. So for this coming week, we have on Sunday, we have Mercury trine Pluto, which is freshly stationed retrograde. We have Venus sextile Neptune. Then on the 3rd, we have Mercury squaring Jupiter, the Sun square Saturn, and then Mercury moves off and into Gemini out of Taurus. On May 6th, we have Venus trine Pluto retrograde. And on May 8th, we have Venus squaring Jupiter and then Venus moving into Gemini. So we have a lot of, well, we have not a lot, but we have two inner planets moving signs. And Mercury is actually, by the 15th, just so everyone's aware, Mercury will be entering shadow period. So we will be looking at retrogrades, or looking at the retrograde for Mercury. And we enter the shadow period on the 15th, but we'll get there when we get there and we'll talk about it. So let's talk about this coming energy, general forecast. Just in general, what some of these mean. So Mercury in Taurus in trine with Pluto, and Venus in Taurus sextile to Neptune over in Pisces. So with Mercury in trine with Pluto, this can see us utilizing our intellect in a very profound and intense way, like intense intellectual focus, but in a good way. So it's not like a square, like it's not going to be, super crazy or anything like that. But this is definitely a really good energy to utilize. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing on that day to utilize that energy and focus. And then also, Pluto being in Capricorn, initiation, transformational energies, for the more structured parts of our lives. And Mercury is in Taurus, with the very fixed energy of Taurus. So this will be good. This is like mental fortitude and getting things done. We can gain deep insights if we really focus. It's an easy energy because it is a trine. It will be intense because it is Pluto, but you can utilize this energy for yourself and hone in and focus on something that really truly matters and get it done. Like I said, I know what I'm doing on this day. Venus in Taurus, in her home sign, being refreshed, renewed, and feeling more Venusian. In sextile, not trine, in sextile with Neptune in its home sign of Pisces. So this can see relationships taking on a more etheric or ephemeral or spiritual kind of feel to them. We can take spiritual practices even and bring them down into a whole new physical level. And what we can ground down into reality from what it is that's kind of floating out there in the ethers. Like, what is it that you can grab onto? What is it that you can make manifest with this energy from what's behind the veil and bring it into the physical? On the 3rd, we do have Mercury in square with Jupiter, the Sun squaring Saturn, and then Mercury moves into Gemini on that same day. So with Mercury transiting Taurus, you know, thoughts and words do slow down. And when, excuse me, when you add in the square from Jupiter in Aquarius, we can see tenacious thinking from a personal or social level, or both. Both signs are fixed. Jupiter won't bring anything, you know, bad, but it can expand on that feeling of being frustrated in a group or social network because we're not getting our needs met. Mercury wants to talk it out and really kind of sort through and understand everything, and make a decision when everything is weighed out, the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, all of it, and every possible rabbit hole that you can go down has been gone down. That's when Mercury makes a decision. You know, and analyzed and all that. So with Jupiter in the sign of Aquarius, it's the groupthink, the humanitarian projects, and the social endeavors that we have. And while we may not agree on this day with everything that is being done, know that we can make a difference if we put all the pieces together in a timely manner. And with the sun in square to Saturn on this same day as well, this, you know, this is personal. We want to be in a state of bliss with the sun in the very sensate sign of Taurus. But coming off the conjunction to Uranus, you know, just a few days ago, actually, I'm filming this the day that the sun conjuncts Uranus. You know, just a few days from now, the sun will square Saturn exact. So we can be looking down the barrel of our own mistakes even. And the heavy hand of authority can let us know exactly where we have stepped out of line, or this can be very, we can feel kind of like our ego is a little deflated, like we don't feel like worth anything, because the sun in square with Saturn is kind of a heavier energy. It like tones down the sun a little bit, but it can be very practical, very grounded, very stable energy as well. With the sun in square with Saturn, this can see people taking their energy and really focusing and honing in on what it is that they want to create in a very grounded and practical way. You know, it can be that as well. And then Mercury moving into Gemini. So Mercury moving into Gemini after the square to Jupiter, you know, we move into much quicker thoughts, much quicker actions, much quicker words. And, you know, Gemini is kind of duplicitous as an air sign. And so we can get to the critical thinking or the remediation of anything that was out of line or out of sorts. When it was in square to Jupiter, the, you know, blown up kind of thing, we can move on with a different kind of understanding with Saturn in square with the sun on this day as well. There's this sense that you see what you've done wrong, not wrong like in terms of, you know, you've done something wrong and you need to be punished for it, although that could be the case for some people, but it's more or less you see the error of your ways, and now you're moving on to understand how you can fix it and how you can keep going, kind of like pick up the pieces and just keep shuffling along kind of thing. You know, remember though that by the 15th, like I said earlier, you know, if we haven't gotten our ducks in a row by then, we will need to reevaluate in the coming weeks whatever decision we've made after the 15th, because Mercury will go retrograde on the 29th, and when it on the 15th, it will hit its shadow period. So then on May 6th, we have Venus coming into a trine with Pluto. And so Venus is deep in the feels, and, you know, with the trine to Pluto, this is really good for relationships. This is really good for, you know, the introspective, psychic, psychological kind of energy with Pluto. And but with the trine to Venus, you know, it's not as gnarly as a square or an opposition, so it can be very intense, but in a good way, right? Like it's we can use this energy behind the scenes, if you know what I'm saying. And so, you know, if you're in a relationship with someone, obviously, right? This can also be a deeper understanding of our values, of our, you know, our sense of worth, our sense of value. It can be money, it can be possessions, and, you know, what we're doing with that out in the big wide world, or maybe who we're doing it with, right? We can be laser focused and get to the bottom of what we want to do with other people, or what we want to do about the structured areas of our life, or maybe what we want to do with our finances. It can see that type of focus. So then on the 8th, we do have Venus coming into the square with Jupiter, and then Venus moves on into Gemini. So, you know, Venus coming into the square with Jupiter is happening at 29 degrees. So, you know, Venus is stronger in her home sign. Jupiter, not so much. He's not so great in Aquarius. It is an air sign. So, you know, it is a masculine element, but it's still Saturn ruled in traditional astrology. So, Jupiter, while he can be more expansive in Aquarius versus Capricorn, it's still kind of iffy and up in the air as to whether or not Jupiter will protect you from the worst case scenario, but it doesn't always offer the best benefits when it's in Saturn ruled signs, because it has to follow the rules of Saturn. But Saturn is here, so with Saturn here in Aquarius as well, this could see a little more wiggle room in terms of what Jupiter's able to accomplish and do. You know, but with this square, there could be expenditures. There could be, you know, unforeseen or unexpected technical issues as well. There could also be, you know, interesting developments in technology and inventions being released to the public on this day. This could also be money dynamics, you know, with a group or a humanitarian pursuit that becomes bigger than what maybe we thought it would on this day as well, or in subsequent days leading up to and after this comes exact and starts to wane. Now, when Venus moves into Gemini after this square, we can become a little more playful. You know, maybe this interaction with Jupiter helps Venus, you know, into the quick-witted and quirky sign of Gemini, and it just kind of blows up the fact that, you know, I mean, it's 29 degrees, so it makes me think that this is something from the past being brought up again, maybe someone from the past, because Venus and Jupiter, you know, they're both benefic planets. So in square, it's not so much, but it can be a lot of, sometimes too much of a good thing is not a good thing, right? But sometimes when Jupiter and Venus square, you know, especially with Venus in her home sign and strengthen, this can be really good for relationships. This can be really good with connections with other people. You know, so maybe an opportunity comes back around again, and so you're able to take hold of that and run with it. After all, you know, like I said, they are both benefic, and even in square, they don't bring anything bad per se. But like I said, it can blow things up a little bit, maybe in a good way. Maybe in a good way. So that is the general. So let's move on to the all signs forecast. And so we're going to talk about Mercury and Venus moving into Gemini. So for Aries and for Aries rising, Mercury moving into Gemini, I mean, this is moving into your third house. And so Mercury's coming home, right? And so Mercury is coming home to communication, to thinking, speaking, mechanical devices, electronic devices like computers, technology, things like that. Well, not technology, but like devices, like handheld devices, things that you would communicate with, text messages, emails, phone calls, things like that. And so Mercury is kind of renewed here. Now, with Mercury squaring Jupiter before it enters here, this could definitely see issues in terms of your expenditures in your monetary world as well. Maybe you need to buy a new computer, or maybe you need to buy a new phone because maybe you're out on a boat that you just bought and you drop it in the water. So now you got to go buy a new phone after you just spent all kinds of money on a new boat. I mean, that could be a thing, right? Maybe. So it could be something like that. A little specific, I'm sorry. So with the sun too on this day, you know, on the same day squaring Saturn. So with Mercury moving out of Taurus and into Gemini, this could make your speech quicker. You're able to think clearer. You're able to take maybe some of the slowdown energy and the evaluation energy that you had in Taurus and the rumination that is Taurus and move ahead with it as it moves into Gemini. But then the Sun in square with Saturn, I mean, this could definitely see maybe some limitations, some restrictions, you know, on what it is that you're able to do financially because of an obligation with your social groups, with your social networks, with the people that you associate with, or the organizations that you associate with. Or maybe you kind of overestimated the amount of money that you can spend, and now it's kind of a dose of reality and you're understanding, oh, I shouldn't have spent that money, right? So there is that as well. With Venus also later in the, you know, Venus squaring Jupiter later in the week, and then Venus moving into Gemini, which is really what I'm going to be focusing about for all 12 signs. I should have said that in the intro, but, you know, just Mercury and Venus moving signs, something that I'd like to focus on because it's kind of a, I mean, it's a big deal, but it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal because it's, you know, they're done squaring these planets in Aquarius now, and they're going to be in trine with them. Except Jupiter's going to be moving signs soon, so it'll be in square. But anyway, Venus in square with Jupiter, I mean, for Aries rising in particular, or sun or moon, you know, if you're looking at this from any of those areas as well, Venus is in your second house. Jupiter is in the last degrees of your 11th house, of your social networks, of your social circles, and the people that you surround yourself with. So maybe there is something from the past that's coming back that, you know, Venus for you, Aries rising in particular. She is the rule, not only the ruler of your second house, of your sense of worth, your sense of value, like your personal inside sense of worth and value, but she's also the ruler of your relationships as well. So in square with Jupiter, this could see, especially at the 29th degree, this could maybe see connection with someone from a social network, or reconnecting with a friend, or, you know, maybe a partner that you haven't had associations with for a while. Sorry about the noise. I gotta, my glasses. Anyway, and so, you know, maybe this is definitely a reconnection from the past. And, you know, with Jupiter, maybe you're traveling because Jupiter is travel as well, right? Jupiter does rule your 9th house, and Jupiter also rules your 12th house. So, you know, if you're an Aries rising in particular, and, you know, this could be really good. This could see you reconnecting with some people in your life, maybe partners, or business associates, or business associates, partners, clients, things of that nature, you know, and reconnecting with them from the past. And then when Venus moves into Gemini, Venus is going to become very communicative and very chatty and very flirty and very fun, if not maybe a little scattered. But she does, you know, Mercury is kind of pulling away from her because Mercury is the faster planet, but Mercury will be slowing down here in a few weeks to go retrograde. So he will, Mercury is not a he, it's an it, it's androgynous. You know, Mercury is kind of reinvigorated in its own sign. So it's helping Venus through the Gemini energy. Excuse me. So it's not so much Venus and Gemini energy. She's getting support from Mercury here as well. But this is this can be flirtatious. This can be you know, maybe traveling in style in your community, you know, maybe a new vehicle that you just purchased, or a new boat even, and you're going to ride around on it, or ride around in your new vehicle, and you're like, yeah, look at me, right? So it could be that. for Aries rising. And then for Taurus rising people, you know, we're going to focus on, you know, the last aspect that Mercury makes and the last aspect that the last aspect that Venus makes before moving into Gemini. Both planets are moving into Gemini next week. So, or this week, I should say. And so for this is, you know, it's switching the energy up a little bit, and it's giving us more of that communicative kind of energy. So with the last aspect that Mercury makes is the square to Jupiter. And this, you know, Mercury in a fixed sign, Mercury doesn't really like fixed signs all that much. It is, you know, it is in an earth sign. Mercury does rule Virgo, so it can be a little nicer because it is trining its home sign. But Mercury in Taurus in general is very fixed. It has to weigh all the pros, all the cons. It has to go down all the rabbit holes and understand the decision that it wants to make and all the possible outcomes. And with this square to Jupiter in Aquarius, this is kind of like blowing that up and really, you know, Mercury is in your sign. And so Jupiter is your 8th house. Or no, it's not. That's Cancer. Where am I here? Good Lord. Your 10th house, Taurus. I'm sorry. So this is your 10th house. And so, you know, with Jupiter up there in your 10th house, kind of blowing things up and making what you're known for a little bit bigger, a little bit louder, a little, you know, maybe it's been a lot with everything that's been going on there. But with Mercury, you know, in your sign and square, this could see you communicating something about your career. Maybe you're bringing back something that you used to do in the past before Mercury moves into your 2nd house. So this will be good with Mercury here in your 2nd house. It's coming home. It's you know, it's refreshed and renewed, but there's going to be something over the next several weeks that you're going to have to reevaluate in terms of your finances, your material possessions, your sense of value, your sense of worth. There's something here that's going to be reevaluated because it will go retrograde here in Gemini in a few weeks. On the same day, we are going to have the sun in square with Saturn. So the sun here, you know, which is the ruler of your 4th house of your home and your family, your focus, maybe you've been highlighted with your family, and there's something going on there behind the scenes. And with this square to Saturn up in your 10th house, there's maybe some arguments, some disputes, some limitations, some delays, some things like that have to do with what it is that you're doing out in the world. And or maybe there's this sense that you've been shining so brightly with the sun here, that your family maybe behind the scenes is not, they're trying to put the kibosh to what it is that you're doing for whatever reason. Or maybe this could be growth as well, in your career, in for you to, you know, where the sun goes, our attention follows, right? So there could be a lot of Taurus rising people in specific that are getting a lot of recognition, are getting a lot of notoriety, and it's because of all the hard work that you've been doing, that you've been putting out there, you know, or sun or moon, just depends. But that is also going on that day as well. And so just know that the sun in square with Saturn anyway, just as an aspect, it can kind of see a hit to the ego. I mean, if you have that natally, you'll know what I'm saying. Like Saturn kind of is that heavy thumb that kind of squashes you down a little bit and makes sure that you're dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's and making sure you have all your ducks in a row. You know, it's the planet of hard knocks. But if you've been doing your due diligence and you've been following all the rules of Saturn, you will reap the rewards in that career sector. And Saturn's going to be revamping that area of your life over the next couple of years anyway. But just be aware of that. So then when Venus, the last aspect that Venus makes you know, in square with Jupiter, you know, this is you, this is your ruling planet. And in square with Jupiter up there in your 10th house, this could definitely see something from the past coming back in terms of your career and what it is that you wanted to do. This could also see, you know, maybe there's some money that comes in, right? Because Jupiter, Jupiter for you does rule your 8th house. And, you know, it does rule your 11th. It's going to be moving into your 11th here pretty soon. So, you know, maybe there's some joint finances that are coming in through career. Maybe you have a silent partner that you've been working with, or maybe there's, you know, some benefits, some rewards that are coming in for you in terms of what it is that you're doing out there in the world. And then when Venus moves into Gemini, you know, Venus is going to be moving into your 2nd house. She's going to be revamping your finances. She's going to be highlighting to you and your, you know, because this is your ruling planet. And this is going to see you, you know, working on things, working on maybe what it is that you're doing financially, what it is, where it is that you're putting your money, but also what it is you're doing with your money. Because Venus also rules your day to day, not just you, but also, you know, what it is that you do on a daily basis. So this could definitely see you changing up some routines to revamp that area of life, that has to do with how it is that you're making your money, or your sense of value, your sense of self-worth, your sense of, you know, what it is that you value in your possessions too could be shifting and changing with all this energy that's been going on, with Uranus and now Saturn and Jupiter all in square with your 10th and your 1st as well. So then for Gemini and for Gemini rising, you know, Mercury is in your 12th house. It's squaring Jupiter in your 9th house. So, you know, maybe some Gemini rising people have decided that they're going to travel. I mean, because the 9th and the 12th, this is like moving to foreign countries, or this is, you know, this could be educational pursuits of a spiritual nature. This could be, you know, hospitals, ashrams, retreat centers, things like that. And with the square here, you know, with Mercury in your 12th house, this could see you, you know, doing something behind the scenes in terms of maybe some educational pursuit or some type of travel that you've been working on that you want to do, that you want to go somewhere and you want to do or whatnot. And so when Mercury hits your sign, you know, on the 3rd, this is going to refresh you. Your ruling planet is coming home, right? Your ruling planet is moving into Gemini. And so this will refresh you yourself. Just know that you are probably going to be revising, re-editing, redoing some things in your life in terms of you and what you're doing on the home front, because Mercury also rules your 4th house, which is, you know, what you come home to behind the scenes, your family, your ancestors, things like that. So there could be some type of revision coming up. Now, the Sun in square with Saturn, I mean, this is happening from your 12th to your 9th. There could definitely be, you know, there could definitely be some focus on what's happening behind the scenes, and maybe there's some limitations and delays and whatnot that are going on with your education, or maybe the travel plans that you want to make. There's kind of that kibosh that's being put to it saying, no, not yet. You can't do this yet. You need to wait, right? Because that's what Saturn does. Saturn limits and restricts and delays things. So that could be for some Gemini rising people as well. Now, Venus, you know, will be moving into Gemini as well. But right now, you know, she's at the last vestiges on May 8th of Taurus, in square with Jupiter, you know, in Aquarius. This is your, again, this is that that 9th, 12th house kind of push pull going on. And with this happening, this, I mean, this could be an opportunity that comes back around. And I'm not saying like the same opportunity for where the sun and Saturn are squaring. This could be an opportunity from, you know, the past coming back, because it is the 29th degree, and there is that association when you do hit that 29th degree of something from the past, whether or not it's past life, you know, if you believe in that kind of thing, or even just like the recent past, or even just a few years past. So there's something to do here with an opportunity coming back around in terms of that. And, you know, maybe this could be a relationship, because Jupiter does rule your 7th house, Gemini. And maybe there's something, you know, that's going on there, because, and maybe this could be a lover of some kind too, because Venus also rules not just your 12th, but your 5th house as well. So there could be maybe a liaison, maybe, is that how you say it? Or you know, a secret lover or a secret love affair, maybe. Just saying. And then when Venus does move into Gemini, Venus moving into your sign is going to refresh you. It's going to revitalize you and give you that softer, more Venusian kind of feel, right? Instead of being, you know, the wild and crazy Gemini that you are, you know, well, some of you are wild and crazy. Some of you are pretty practical and down to earth, but, you know, it just depends on your planets and how they're set up in your chart. But Venus moving into Gemini, this is going to refresh you. This is going to make you feel more vibrant, more alive, more sensual, more sensate. And you're going to want to, you know, get into the comfy things and do the good food and the good clothes and the good wine, or, you know, whatever it is that you do for that more Venusian kind of feel to it. So that's for Geminis as well. And now for Cancer and for Cancer rising. So Mercury in square with Jupiter is happening in your 11th house to your 8th house. So this could see, you know, this is at 28 degrees. Mercury is in Taurus at 28 degrees and Jupiter at 28 degrees in Aquarius. This is, you know, this is a square aspect, but there could be, you know, some with, you know, with Mercury and Taurus. Mercury likes to weigh all the pros, all the cons, all the things before it makes a decision. And Jupiter in Aquarius is kind of like, let's go, let's do the thing. Let's get, you know, this right now, this is the future. We got to do this. And so there could be, you know, a little bit of push and pull where maybe there's some uncomfortability, maybe someone, you know, maybe like a partner or a silent partner or someone, you know, in that represents that 8th house for you, could be, you know, kind of putting the pressure on, right? Or maybe this could also be healing through a friends group as well with Jupiter square Mercury, because Mercury does rule your 12th house of what's behind the scenes and all that too. So then with the sun in square with Saturn, you know, this is happening again in your 11th and in your 8th house. So for Cancer rising in particular, your sense of value, your sense of worth could kind of take a hit on this day. You know, sun, moon, or ascendant, if you're a Cancer, doesn't matter. It's still how many houses away are they? And so this could see, you know, your sense of value as well coming from what's going on in that friends group, what's going on in that social network, what's going on with your friends. And Saturn in the 8th is putting the kibosh and the squash and making you feel, you know, like maybe you're not as valuable as you think you are, or as good as you think you are, right? Because the sun in square to Saturn could be a blow to the ego as well. It's, you know, it's the sun. The sun is our ego. It's where we're ever burning, ever churning. It's, you know, the forever life-giving force that it is. And then Saturn is like the great restrictor, right? So it's, there could be something going on. This could also see very healing energy too, because Saturn being in the 8th house, it could see, you know, if you've been doing the work on that self-healing, on that working on your sense of value, working on what it is that you value in the world as well. And it could see rewards coming from that as well from other people. And then Mercury does move into Gemini on this day. So Mercury is moving, it's moving into your 12th house, Cancer rising people specifically, but moving into Gemini, it's home house. So it's its home sign, home house for you. This is refreshing Mercury. Mercury is coming home. It will go retrograde here. So if any Cancer rising people out there in particular have a spiritual business, have a you know, something going on behind the scenes, working on something behind the scenes, there could be you know, any mercurial projects too that have to do with communication, because you know, Mercury does also rule your communication sector as well, and your neighborhood and your vehicles and things like that. There could be something going on behind the scenes. Watch out for your vehicles too, because Mercury will be going retrograde here in the 12th house for you, Cancer. So there could be something that maybe pops up in a couple of weeks with your vehicle, and maybe you're like, I should probably keep an eye on that. You should probably keep an eye on that, because, you know, Mercury in the 12th house, maybe this is kind of where, for you, this could be where vehicles go to die, right? Like maybe you're going to have issues with your car or something. So it could be that as well. But just in general, this could also see you working on projects behind the scenes. You know, maybe this is you wanting to take that mental vacation away from the world and get away from the daily grind, because Mercury has been in your 11th house and it's been, you know, that fixed energy. And now it's, as it comes home, it's like, okay, I got all these ideas, I have all these plans, but I just need a mental break right now, being the 12th house. So also, you know, Venus is going to also be at these end degrees too later in the week, and it's going to be squaring Jupiter. And so, you know, this is same thing, 11th and 8th, but this is Venus. This is the ruler of your 11th, in your 11th, in square with Jupiter in your 8th. So there's definitely something, maybe some type of relationship from the past, or maybe a yeah, I mean, a relationship from the past could come up for you, especially because healing from a relationship from the past, like an old friend, like maybe there's an old friend that comes back around that says, hey, you know, I want another chance. I've really thought about everything that you've said, and I want another chance to prove that, you know, I am a good person, or whatnot, right? So it could be that as well. And maybe you heal a rift that happened with a friend, or maybe, you know, yeah, I mean, that could definitely be, or maybe there's something too that comes back around with something to do with your home too. And, you know, maybe a friend from the distant past comes back. I mean, really, it's in the friends. It's also the ruler of your IC, or your 4th house. So there could definitely be some behind the scenes conversations that are happening there as well, but they could be very healing for you. And then Venus does move into your 12th house. Venus does, you know, move into Gemini. And so Venus is going to take on a little bit of a different flavor when she moves into Gemini. She's going to be, you know, maybe whatever is going on for you on the 8th, there's this sense that you really need to reevaluate some friends groups or some things that you're a part of and some things that you're doing. But with Mercury here as well, you know, coming in ahead of Venus, this could also see you, you know, really focusing on what's going on behind the scenes with your social networks. And maybe there's something that you're working on for a social network as Venus comes through here, because it will, both Mercury and Venus are going to trine those planets in your 8th house. So there's good things coming, right? There's easier energy. There's more healing energy that's going to be coming for Cancer rising people in particular. So then for Leo and for Leo rising, and so Mercury in square with Jupiter at the end degrees of Taurus and Aquarius is happening in your 10th and in your 7th. So there's definitely some things going on, some communication that's going on in your one-to-one relationships with people. There's communication that's going on, you know, with your partnerships, maybe your business partners or your relationships, right? Like your marriage partner, your spouse, your clients. Maybe there's some clients that come back around for you. But there's also, you know, maybe Mercury does rule your 11th house. It will be moving into your 11th house on this same day that it squares Jupiter. So there could be some social networks, some social contracts even that come back around for reevaluation, especially because Mercury will be going retrograde here in Gemini in a few weeks. It's going to hit its shadow period pre-retrograde on the 15th. So we're getting closer to that date. So there could be some stuff that's coming up for reevaluation. Now with the sun here, Leo, up in your 10th house, this is where it is that you're trying to shine, that you're working on your career. There's things that you're doing. Maybe you had some shock and awe moments where the sun was conjunct Uranus. And so there are some interesting developments in terms of the relationships that you have with other people because, you know, sun rules you, Uranus rules your 7th house. There was something that happened around that day that the sun came conjunct to Uranus that was profound and impactful for you, whether or not it's on a subtle level or whether or not it was on a really big level. So there's definitely some things going on there. But with the sun, you know, in square with Saturn, Saturn rules your 7th house as well. And it's in your 7th house. It's seeing you maybe take a more practical approach with what it is that you're doing out in the world with your clients, or maybe you're limited on the number of clients that you can gain because of something going on there, you know, with your 7th house. Maybe you're not able to get to the people that you want to get to, or you're not able to service as many people as you want if you work in a service industry. But there's also, you know, very sobering, very practical things here that are going on. And grounded practical growth is another good way of putting it too, because the sun in square with Saturn can see a sobering effect on the sun itself. And being a Leo rising, the sun rules you, it rules your energy, it rules your vitality. And in square with Saturn, this can be a hit to the ego, or this can be, you know, a hit to your self-esteem, a hit to you physically. Maybe there's some type of limitation in relationship that's going on, or a sobering conversation that happens with what it is that you're trying to do out in the world. And there's a no, there's a no happening in that 7th house. So just be aware of that. And so then on this same day, though, that Mercury is squaring Jupiter and the sun is squaring Saturn, Mercury moves into your 11th house. So, you know, maybe there's something that happened, you know, in conversation with someone in, you know, like maybe a conversation with a child because it's Jupiter and it rules your 5th house, right? It's in your 7th. Or maybe there is a conversation going on with a partner, or with a lover, with a romantic partner, you know, something like that. Or this could also be, you know, a conversation with a person from your friends group as well. And maybe there's something going on there, and Mercury is being refreshed in Gemini. So there is that. And I think I already talked about that. So sorry, I'm kind of out of sorts lately. I do apologize for no video last week, Leos. But that full moon really kind of hit me a little hard. So anyway, so on the 8th though too, like the two aspects I want to really focus on are the 3rd and the 8th. And this is, you know, the final squares to the planets in Aquarius from the fixed sign of Taurus, and then the planets moving into Gemini. I really want to focus on those because it's gonna change the energy kind of dramatically, right? So on the 8th, Venus is coming into a square with Jupiter. And so Venus is up there in your 10th house. It's what you're known for. It's how you're known. It's the legacy you want to leave. It's how, if you have a public persona, it's how the world knows you. It's how they look at you, how they see you. And then with Jupiter there in the 7th house, you know, this could be conversation maybe of a creative endeavor that you're working on with someone. And so there's, you know, this is both benefic. So it's not like anything bad, right? Like it's both benefic planets of the zodiac. So, you know, it's it's good. The conversation is still, it could be overblown, but it's still good. And then when Venus moves into Gemini, you know, it's Venus becomes more chatty. Venus becomes more talkative. Venus becomes more communicative, right? And so speaking, I'm a natal Venus in Gemini, so I know this. But you know, it could be a little scattered. However, later on, Venus will trine Saturn. So there will be more grounded conversation, and it will be good. It will be very good conversation. And so Venus here, you know, but with Venus in square at 29 degrees, one thing I do want to mention is that there could be, because Venus not only rules your 10th house of what it is that you're known for, it also rules your 3rd house of your local area or the local travel that you're in. And depending on other aspects in your chart, Jupiter rules, you know, your 5th house of fun, play, romance, things like that. There could be maybe someone from the past coming back, coming into your vicinity that maybe you really liked, and maybe you had a really good time with them. And, you know, maybe now you're going to be known by something different. Maybe you're going to take that relationship to a different level. I don't know. I'm just saying. But that's for some Leo risings. For other Leo risings, if you're in relationship with someone already, this could see, you know, maybe something to do with your children. You know, maybe something really good happens with one of your children and, you know, they're recognized for something. It could be that as well, for some Leo risings people. And then for Virgo and Virgo rising, with Mercury in square with Jupiter, apparently I can't speak. On the 3rd, Mercury will be squaring Jupiter. So Mercury in the sign of Taurus, you know, this Mercury is in your 9th house. So it is in trine with your ascendant. This is your chart ruler. And so maybe your mental fortitude and your mental focus has been on that higher perspective on, you know, what's going on in the world, or, you know, educational pursuits, even traveling to a foreign country, or maybe travel has been on your mind. With Jupiter, you know, in square with that 6th house, this is a lot of busyness. And Jupiter in Aquarius, I know for some Virgo rising people, has been really overblowing that 6th house of what it is that you're doing every single way. It's just a lot. And it's doing a lot of things. And Virgo rising people in particular could feel a little burnout right now. And, you know, with the sun again in that 9th house and Saturn in the 6th house, this could definitely, like, this to me is the perfect storm for burnout. The only thing is that I can say is that Mercury will be renewed in your 10th house, what it is that you're known for, how it is that you're known, how the public sees you. And so Mercury moving into Gemini as well can see a revamping of what it is that you're known for, what it is that you're doing out in the world. You know, maybe with the Sun square Saturn, there's you know, there's something, maybe some vice or something that you've been doing that now you understand, you know, because the sun rules your 12th house of addictions and things that are behind the scenes, things that are really unseen, maybe something from a past life. But with the square to Saturn, it could be, you know, understanding what it is that you need to change on that daily basis, what it is that you need to change, a different perspective, a different kind of a shifting, I guess, is what I'm saying, of your perspective on what it is that you're doing on a daily basis, because Saturn is here limiting. You're not, Saturn in the 6th house is, it can definitely see your body not feeling good as well. You know, like stiffness in your body and things like that as well. But then Mercury, you know, Mercury moving into your 10th house, this is revamping your 10th house. This is in square with your ascendant. You're going to be goal oriented. You're going to be focused on what it is that you're doing out in the world. And so then when we move on to the 8th, where Venus is squaring Jupiter, you know, at this last degree of, you know, Taurus and Aquarius, before Venus moves into Gemini, there could see an opportunity from the past of either travel or education, or even if you work in the educational sphere, like whether like higher education, you know, like I don't want to, it's not high school, it's like college level or preparatory school or trades even. You know, with Jupiter here at the end degrees of the sixth house, maybe there could be conversation about something that you can change up on a daily basis, something that you can do to better what it is when Venus moves into Gemini, your career, and what it is that you're doing out in the world. Because with Venus here in your 10th house, this is kind of going to give that Venusian feel to that 10th house and really make it nice. And maybe there could be some extra money that comes in as well from that. And that's for Virgo and for Virgo rising. For Libra and for Libra rising, you know, Mercury in square with Jupiter, the Sun square Saturn, and then Gemini, Mercury moving into Gemini. For you, you know, Mercury has been transiting, your mind has been on money, other people's money, maybe even your clients coming in, your focus has been on money, right, Libra? And so with this square to Jupiter from your 5th house, you know, it could be maybe, you know, your boyfriend or whatnot has been overspending. Maybe there's some money that has kind of trickled through, and you know, maybe there's some things that you've been focusing on, and you have that conversation of saying, hey, no, look, we got to put the kibosh to this. We need to stop with the spending because there's other things that are going to be happening. And especially with Mercury moving into your 9th house, there's going to be a shift in perspective coming too, right? Now, with the Sun in your 8th house squaring Saturn in your 5th, you know, this could definitely see, this could see a very sobering conversation, right, with that lover, with that part, maybe even with a child, you know, restriction, limitation, delay, something like that. And with the Sun in the 8th house, you know, your focus has definitely been on money and material possessions and maybe even taxes and things like that. So there could definitely be some things going on there. And with Mercury moving into Gemini, which is your 9th house, you can see a lot of change in terms of everything that you've gone through now with Mercury moving into your 9th house. Maybe there's a change in perspective that happens because, you know, Mercury was in square with Jupiter, and it's causing you to really reevaluate and rethink, you know, the conversations that you're having with your lovers, with your children, or maybe it's you kind of changing your perspective on how it is that you talk to your lovers or your children. Maybe this is also you deciding that, for if it's not lovers or children, this is how you express yourself as well. And maybe you decide that you're going to express yourself in a different way because of all the things that have gone on here with that 5th and that 8th house and the subsequent squares that have gone on. And then on the 8th, we do have Venus squaring Jupiter at the 29th degree. It's an anaretic degree. It's the last degree of the sign before, you know, Venus will ingress into Gemini, and then Jupiter will ingress later in the week, I believe. Yeah, later in the week into Pisces. So you're going to get busy, Libra rising people. But, you know, Venus in square with Jupiter at the 29th degree, there's definitely something going on, something that is coming back from the past to be reevaluated maybe, or another opportunity is coming back from the past in terms of other people's money, joint finances, you know, children, fun, play, romance, something like that. It could be an opportunity that is coming back around for you. Also in terms of maybe how it is that you express yourself, right? Because this is also Venus is you. And then when Venus moves into Gemini, your perspective will get a shift when she moves into Gemini, because you know, this is in trine with your ascendant. So you're going to have a lot of you're going to have much nicer energy with Mercury and Venus in Gemini than you did with Mercury and Venus in Taurus, because this is going to be trine your ascendant, sextile your descendant, but it's also going to be in trine with that 5th house. So there's going to be a lot of help in terms, like if there's a Libra, you know, rising or whatnot that's having a baby around this time, which I do know that there is someone that is due this week. So yeah, have fun with that. Things are about to get very busy, and your whole world is about to change for some Libra rising peoples, and one in particular that I know. So, you know, this is definitely going to change your perspective on some things and whatnot. So that is for Libra. For Scorpio and for Scorpio rising, Mercury in Taurus has been in your 7th house. There's been a lot of communication with your business partners, with your contractual obligations, with your clients, with people that that one-to-one association. And so with Mercury in square to Jupiter in your 4th house, I mean, this could definitely, you know, at 28 degrees, there could be, like, there could definitely be some, with Jupiter in your 4th house and with Saturn there, like whatever you're doing on that home front, there's definitely some very serious conversations that have been happening. And with this 28-degree square, there could be some very serious conversations that need to happen in terms of what's happening on the home front. And then the sun too, as well, in square with Saturn on that, in that 4th house from the 7th house. There's definitely a conversation that needs to happen too with you know, some type of communication in terms of what it is too that you're known for, because the sun rules your 10th house. It's the top of your chart and it's in your 7th house. So your focus, your you know, where the sun goes, our attention follows, right? Because it's the brightest thing in our sky. So with it being in your 7th house, your focus is definitely on your partnerships and what you're known for in terms of how you're partnering and who you're partnering with. Now, with this square to Saturn, there could definitely be some limitations, some delays, something that's going on behind the scenes for you that is kind of slowing down what's going on with those partnerships. And maybe there's some heavier conversations that need to happen. I mean, the sun in square to Saturn anyway, I mean, it's a very sobering kind of energy. It's a very grounded energy at the same time, as long as you're following the rules of Saturn. But at the same time, the sun square Saturn, I mean, the sun wants to just express constantly, right? I mean, it's an ever burning ball of gas in the sky, right? So, but Saturn is restrictions, limitations, delays, all those types of things. And so this could see, you know, tempering in, reining in that, whatever's going on for you in terms of your partnerships with other people. And you know, there could also be very grounded, very beautiful conversations happening too on that home front and what's going on there. With Mercury moving into Gemini, Mercury is moving into your 8th house of other people's money, finances, but it's coming home. So Mercury coming through and is kind of refreshing what's going on there in that 8th house for you, and getting that understanding of, you know, what's going on in the 8th house, and the communication that's going on in that 8th house of other people's money and how you relate to other people as well. And maybe there's something going on, like, because Mercury also rules your 11th house of your social networks and the people that you associate with, as well as the money that you make from your 10th house. So with Mercury moving into Gemini, there could definitely be some extra income coming in for some Scorpio rising people as well. And then let's see, Then we move over to Venus. Venus has, you know, done really well in your 7th house of relationship and what you're doing one-to-one, and kind of revitalizing and revamping that area of your life, coming home to roost for the last little while. Now she's going to be moving out. Now she's going to be moving out of there, and she's going to be moving into your 8th house. But before that, she's going to square Jupiter, right? So both benefic planets in square with each other, right? Like this is really good. Like maybe you have, because Jupiter also rules, you know, Jupiter rules your 2nd house, and Jupiter also rules your 5th house as well. So there could be, you know, and it's in your 4th house. So there could be a lot of, maybe there's some very fun, very exciting things that are happening on the home front for you. Maybe someone's coming to visit that you really like. I know, you know, there is that going on for someone that I know, but also too, this could just be in general some really exciting news that's happening in partnership with other people. This could be, you know, money coming in through other people as well, through the home, or to the home, for those projects, you know, that are kind of ongoing with Saturn in your 4th house. And then when Venus moves into Gemini, you know, things will change a little bit. The focus will be on other people's money. The focus will be on, you know, let's see here. Venus moving into Gemini. Yeah, this is other people's money. This is your partner's money. Even maybe there's something going on with your marriage partner's money or your marriage partner's income. There's something that's going to be reevaluated there, especially when Mercury goes retrograde later in the month. I am really spending a lot of time on these, aren't I? It's going to be like a 2-hour 2-hour forecast, and I apologize. So yeah, there are a lot of good things though, because I mean, they're both benefic planets. Venus is the lesser benefic, Jupiter's the greater benefic. And, you know, depending on if you're day or night born, I mean, the square is just kind of like overblown goodness, right? So Scorpios, have fun, enjoy. It's going to be fun. It's going to be enjoyable. You know, good things. So then for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, Mercury in square with Jupiter. I mean, this is your chart ruler, right? Your chart ruler is in your 3rd house, and Mercury is in your 6th house of what it is that you're doing on a daily basis, but it rules your 7th house. So you've been in communication with people on the daily basis, right? And so this can see, you know, you dealing with clients on a daily basis, you communicating on a daily basis, you communicating what it is you're doing in partnership on a daily basis. I mean, there's a lot of communication coming in. And with the sun too in square with Saturn, you know, there could see some sobering conversations as well. You know, the sun is the brightest thing in the sky. It's in your 6th house right now, and you know, your focus has been on your health, your focus has been on your daily routines, your communication has been on your health and your daily routines and what it is that you're doing, because Saturn also rules your 3rd house. It also rules your 2nd house of what it is that you value. So you've been talking a lot about what it is that you value every single day, right? So that's going on as well. And then with Mercury moving into Gemini, Mercury's moving into your 7th house. So, you know, Mercury's coming home, it's revitalizing that 7th house. And, you know, this is communication and partnership. This is doing something in partnership. This is, you know, your partner's communicating with you on a daily basis as well, you know. But Mercury, instead of being square all those planets in the 3rd house, now it's sign-based trine. It's going to be moving through Gemini. It will go retrograde. It will go back over some degrees, you know, starting on the 15th of May. It will hit shadow period on the 29th. It will go retrograde. But for you, because it's in trine with that 3rd house, like maybe there's some stuff that you're going to have to revamp in terms of communication. But this is good. This is good revamping of partnerships and communicating about partnerships. So then Venus in square with Jupiter as well. You know, this is good. Venus in square at 29 degrees. So this can see something from the past coming back, whether or not it's a health issue, or whether or not it's a trying to think here. Oh, good Lord. I'm having a brain cramp here. So for you, for Sagittarius, let's see. Boop, boop, boop. Sagittarius. Libra is your 11th house. Okay. So Venus not only rules your 6th house, it also rules your 11th house. So, you know, there could be friends. I mean, this could be Venus in square with Jupiter at 29 degrees. Maybe there is yeah, I mean, this is travel. This is like local travel, like local within, like, you know, your local area. I mean, depending on how big your local area is, right? But it's within the country that you live in. This could see you traveling within the country that you live in, but this could also see maybe, yeah, this could see maybe something to do with your health coming back. Maybe this could, because Venus does rule your 6th house there and it's your 3rd house, maybe there's some type of communication that's coming back around to do with your health, or something that goes on with your health. Venus also, you know, in your 6th house of what is that you're doing on a daily basis. This could see communication from a friend on a daily basis that you're going to be communicating with on a daily basis for a little while. And then when Venus moves into Gemini on this same day, this Venus is moving into your 7th house and kind of giving more of that Venusian flavor to that Gemini house, that partnership house. So this could see, I mean, this is in trine, it's moving into an air sign. It's in trine with your social networks. It's in trine with what you're communicating. So this is really good for you, Sagittarius rising people, specifically rising, because this is your 7th house. And so with Venus coming here, this could see your social contracts picking up. This could see your contracts picking up. This could see, especially, you know, it's sign based, it's creating a, you know, a nice air trine with your 11th house, with your 3rd house. So there's definitely some things that are going to be going on here that are really good for communicating in partnership with other people as well. So then for Capricorn and Capricorn rising, Mercury will be squaring Jupiter. You know, where are we here? Mercury is in Taurus, which is your 5th house, and Jupiter is in your 2nd house of finances. So Mercury, you know, squaring Jupiter. Yeah, 2nd house, 5th house. I've been talking for a long time. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I swear it's going to be like 2 hours. That's how long I feel like I've been talking. So Mercury in square with Jupiter from, yeah, your 5th to your 2nd. This could see, I mean, this could be some really nice opportunities in terms of romantic things going on for you, Cappies. You know, not so much with the, well, maybe the Sun square Saturn too. I mean, this could be well, some Capricorn rising people. Okay, so maybe for you, Capricorn people, this could be either spending money on your children, spending money on a lover. This could see you having conversations with your children or your lovers. This could see you maybe spending money also on a creative endeavor, something that you really love to do because you want to do it. This could also see you maybe spending money on something that is going to help you express who you are out in the world in a more Venusian way. You know, even though it is Mercury and Jupiter, it's still, there's still some things going on here. you know, maybe there is, yeah, like your self-expression and whatnot to what it is that you find of value and how it is that you're expressing what it is that you find of value as well. And then when Mercury moves into Gemini, Mercury will be moving into your 6th house. And so this is good because Mercury rules your 6th house. It's revitalizing your 6th house. There will be some hiccups as to what's going on a daily basis for you, because Mercury will go retrograde later in the month. By the 15th, it will hit shadow period, and then it will go retrograde on the 29th. So there will be some revamping going on here in terms of what it is that you're doing on a daily basis, what it is that you're, what it is maybe that you're doing. If you're starting a job, start it before the 15th. There's still going to be hiccups. There's still going to be things that you're going to have to redo, revitalize, revamp, reevaluate, and re-edit. But this is good for you in terms of if you're looking for a job, you might just, you know, if you're starting a job around this time, just know that there probably are going to be some hiccups, but it's not going to be the end of the world, right? And then Venus in square with Jupiter and then moving into Gemini, there's definitely something going on in terms of your self-expression, how you're expressing yourself, your money, your materials, your possessions, your sense of value. There could also be, for some Capricorn rising people, a lover from the past coming back, or maybe you have a child that's coming back to stay with you, like a grown child that's coming back to stay with you. There's definitely at the 29th degree, there's something from the past that's coming back for your consideration, maybe a second chance at something, especially if this is a relationship. And then when Venus moves into Gemini, you know, this will be, you know, 5th house in the 6th. So this could be, you know, someone that you're going to see on a daily basis, right? And if you are starting a new job, this would be good because Venus here in the 6th house helps give a little bit of that finer touches to what's going on in Gemini in your 6th house. So then for Aquarius and for Aquarius rising, Mercury in square with Jupiter is happening in your sign. Jupiter is in your sign. It's at 28 degrees. It's about to kind of head out of your sign here for a few minutes. And with Mercury, you know, on the home front, there's been a lot of communication going on behind the scenes. There's been a lot of communication, you know, maybe about, maybe for some Aquarius rising people, there's been, you know, a lot of communication about a lover, about children, about a creative endeavor or creative hobby that you maybe want to take to the next level. And with the sun in square to Saturn, I mean, this is Saturn is a co-ruler for you. Squaring the sun down there in your 4th house, maybe there's been some conversations that have been going on behind the scene in terms of your partnerships and what it is that you're doing in partnership. And, you know, there's the sobering conversations, right? So maybe you're being more Saturnian and you're putting the kibosh to something that's going on behind the scenes with a partner. But then when Mercury moves into Gemini, I mean, Mercury is going to refresh and revitalize your 5th house. So, you know, there's communication in terms of what's going on with lovers, romantic partners, not marriage partners, but lovers, right? Because you Aquarius and your Gemini 5th house. Not to sound mean, I'm just saying it's like, that's a lot. That's like, yeah, serial daters, as I like to call them. Anyway, for Aquarius rising people, this could be good because maybe, you know, with the eclipses happening here, maybe you're there's someone that has come in, and now with Mercury coming through here, you know, it's revitalizing that 5th house of what it is, how it is that you're expressing who you are as well, is going to be revitalized. So there is that as well. And then on the 8th, we will have Venus, you know, in the 4th house, in square with Jupiter in your house, or your sign. So to me, this could be an opportunity to do with a social network coming back for reevaluation. Maybe there is conversations that are happening behind the scenes for you in terms of something to do with a friends group, something to do with maybe one of your friends, or a social network or a social endeavor that you're working on. And Venus being in the 4th house, this is something that's going on the home front. This is a conversation that's happening behind closed doors at home. And then when Venus moves into your 5th house, maybe you're launching something or you're doing something out in the world. Maybe you, because this is revitalizing your 5th house as well. So it could be that you're expressing yourself in a more Venusian way. And so this is gonna give you a little bit of that, little bit more of that Venusian flavor in terms of self-expression, hobbies, play, romance, fun. Like maybe romance is going to pick up for you, right? Or maybe you really found that creative hobby that you're really excited about and you're doing it from home, but now you're putting it out there to do, right? Okay. And that's for Aquarius rising. For Pisces rising, Mercury in square with Jupiter is happening in your 12th house and in your 3rd house. So Jupiter in your 12th house, this is actually a co-ruler for you. So Jupiter in your 12th house, there's something that you're doing behind the scenes and something that you maybe are communicating about behind the scenes. Like it's not actually being communicated out to the world, but you're having those communications behind the scenes about something that is going on maybe in your local community, or maybe there's conversation too about what's going on with your vehicles too, because Mercury is in your 3rd house, but Mercury will be moving into your 4th house. So there's this could be behind the scenes conversations about where it is that you're going to be moving to, or conversations about a house or something of that nature. That's what this tells me. So then also with the sun here in the 12th house too, in square with Saturn in your 3rd house, this is conversations that are going on behind the scenes with a social network, with a friend even. And it has to do with what it is that you're doing on a daily basis. Maybe there's something going on with your health in particular that you're communicating with a doctor on, because there's something going on there, right? There's something that's going on behind the scenes. Saturn, in the 12th house, it rules the 12th house. But the sun rules your 6th house of what it is, your health, your wellness, your vitality. So there could be something going on, some type of conversation that you're having with someone about your health, your wellness, your daily routines and what you're doing on a daily routine. And then when Mercury moves into Gemini, it's moving into your 4th house. It's revamping your 4th house. So it's going to go retrograde here. So if you are working on something to do with a home, something to do with property, something to do with family, just know that there's going to be some, negotiations and agreements that are going to have to be revamped, revitalized, and redone over the course of these next little while, because not only does Mercury rule your 4th house, it also rules your 7th house. So there's definitely some type of negotiation going on behind the scene. And I would say that it's for a house. I would say that it's either for a house or a place of business for you, something that's going on behind the scenes there. And so something just came up. Okay. Woo! Where did it go? Excuse me. It's gone. Why is it gone? Okay. And okay. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I'll keep that one, I guess. Okay. Hopefully, is it back? No, it's not back. Yeah, I don't know what is going on here, but there is definitely some weird stuff. This Uranus conjunct the sun, man. It needs to move. Huh. Okay, technology, gotta love it. In my 10th house, Sun conjunct Uranus in my 10th house. My chart ruler, my 7th house ruler in my 10th. That's awesome. Okay, anyway, I was hoping we were going to get through this without any hiccups with technology, but Doesn't look like it. So now, where was I? Venus in square with Jupiter. So Venus in Taurus, in square with Jupiter in Aquarius. Where is this for you, Pisces? Where is this? So Aquarius is your 12th house and Venus is in Taurus in your 3rd house. Okay. So there's definitely some conversations going on behind the scenes. And I mean, and Venus rules your 8th. Yes. For Pisces rising people, there is something going on behind the scenes at home. There's some type of negotiation, some type of contract, some type of agreement. For Pisces rising, specifically Pisces rising, not sun or moon, although there could be some different flavors going on with the sun and the moon. But for Pisces rising people in particular, there is definitely some type of contract, negotiation, agreement going on about a home, about moving homes, about moving into a new home, or just doing something with your home in general. So that is what's going on for Pisces rising people. So yeah, that's my forecast for all 12 signs. I hope you like, share, subscribe, and I'm gonna log off here and hope that this takes and doesn't mess up anymore. Okay, we'll see you next week. Bye.